Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, woman accused of cruelly beating her child granted bail. A woman whose 4-year-old daughter suffered severe burns as she allegedly used a broomstick to beat the child was granted bail in the sum of $100,000 in the St. Catherine Parish Court on Friday. The 24-year-old woman is answering to a charge of cruelty to a child. When she appeared in court on Friday, bail was granted on condition that she does not contact the complainant and reappears in court on May 13. It is alleged that on April 6, the accused was beating the child with a broomstick when the child fell onto a little coal stove and received burns to the back. A report was made to the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse. A probe was launched, which resulted in the arrest and the charge of the accused. Westmoreland laborer charged with gun and ammunition possession. 32-year-old laborer Ricardo Kerr of Strathbogie District in Savannah-Lamar, Westmoreland, has been charged with possession of a prohibited weapon and unauthorized possession of ammunition following a stop and a search in his community on Friday. The Savannah-Lamar police say about 10 p.m., lawmen were in the area and noticed a group of men acting in a manner that aroused the suspicion. The men were approached and searched, and the firearm and ammunition were reportedly removed from Kerr's waistband. He was arrested and subsequently charged. His court date is being finalized. Labor rights is selecting representation for Westmoreland Western. Voting has started in the Jamaica Labour Party's internal selection, in which approximately 600 delegates are chosen between two candidates to represent the party in the Westmoreland Western constituency in the upcoming general election. Councillor Garfield James of the Sheffield Division is challenging the incumbent Member of Parliament, Moreland Wilson, for the seat. Delegates from the Friendship and the Greenhill divisions have turned out in a jubilant mood and are queuing to cast their ballots at Greenhill High School. According to Pernell Charles Jr., who is observing the process in Greenhill, voting is going well and the party officials are exercising fairness and transparency. You can see the energy of the delegates that are out, and I think that's all part of the democratic process, Charles said shortly after the polls opened at noon on Sunday. We are hoping that through transparency and accountability, we adhere to those democratic principles which the Jamaica Labour Party holds so important, Charles told the news. Voting is also taking place at Little London High School, where delegates from the Negril, Little London, and the Sheffield divisions are casting their ballots. Family blames the funeral home for failure to preserve body, but operator insists standard protocols were followed. A funeral home in Trelawney is under fire from the grieving relatives of 32-year-old Kamar Brown, whose family says they are now forced to hold a closed casket funeral due to the state of decomposition of his body, an outcome that has left his parents heartbroken. Brown, a contractor from Highgate, St. Mary, died on January 20 in a motor vehicle collision on the North Coast Highway while en route to work in Montego Bay, St. James. He was the first road fatality in the parish for the year. After being pronounced dead at the Falmouth Public General Hospital, his body was transported to Patmore's funeral home, also located in Trelawney. The body remained at the funeral home for over 2 months until it was transported to Kingston on March 28 for a post-mortem. It was at that point, the family says, that their worst fears were realized. Kamar's face was unrecognizable. The guy is 32. He didn't get a visible scratch when he met in that accident. And to know now that we have to bury him in a closed casket, that is not nice, fumed Naveen Brown, Kamar's older sister, sharing a picture of her brother's body that she said she had obtained a day after his death. The one at the autopsy was too gruesome to share. According to Naveen, by the time the body arrived in Kingston, it showed signs of decomposition, sunken eyes, missing facial tissue, and a severe deterioration of the crown of the head. The only means of identification, she said, was a tattoo on his hand. The experience has taken a profound emotional toll on the family. Stone-faced, Naveen recounted that her father, stoic and heartbroken, traveled to Kingston in the hearse alongside the body, using cologne to mask the pungent odor. Meanwhile, her mother still refuses to believe that Kamar has died. That is one of the reasons why we are all so upset now, because she never looked at him when he died, and now she won't get to look at her son at the funeral, said a tearful Naveen. It is better them to just let us bury him the same way when he died. He died so young, and he is decomposed already, and he is not even buried yet. He got a horrible death. He is still dying in between his death, she said. She is calling on the government to strengthen oversight of funeral homes to ensure proper storage standards are followed and to protect other grieving families from similar distress. Paul Patmore, operator of Patmore's funeral home, told the news that his facility is not at fault as bodies are stored per government standards. He said he could not speak to Naveen's allegations, explaining that he only knew that the face of her brother's body was stripping. It is not unusual for you to see strips on a body that was stored for 3 months. Advanced state of decomposition would mean that it was completely decomposed and that a pathologist wouldn't do post-mortem on it, he charged. They would call for a blood test to identify the person, and that was not the case, said Pat Moore. He explained that even under cold storage, bodies continue to break down. Extremely low temperatures, he noted, can cause a crystallization, which doesn't stop decomposition. He also pointed out that bodies sent for autopsy must be thawed for 1 to 2 days beforehand, as frozen bodies are difficult to examine. What we do is freeze and then thaw it maybe a day or 2 before. We have to thaw it out completely because the doctor wants no form of ice on it. So somebody might stand up over it and they will smell that scent and they will tell you about it because they don't understand. They are not undertakers, he charged. But it's not like the body is spoiling. It is just because it is thawed. We have to thaw that body because if there is any ice, they will send it back. He said the odor typically subsides before burial. To support his claims of proper handling, he gave the news a tour of his facility, including a reposing room where a body was present. The room had a distinct scent, but others were odor-free. The reception area was clean and displayed a variety of caskets. Tennyson Cornwall, director of House of Tranquility Funeral Home, where Brown's autopsy was performed in Kingston, told the news that he could not comment directly on the case. He said that House of Tranquility only offers the facilities for postmortems conducted by government pathologists. Yesterday, Cornwall explained, however, that refrigeration only slows down but does not stop deterioration of a corpse, and that 2 months is far too long for a body to be in storage. He could not speak for rural areas like Trelawney, which does not have postmortem facilities, but said usually in Kingston it takes roughly a month before a postmortem is conducted due to the high demand and the shortage of pathologists. He accepts, however, that the state of the bodies in storage does rest heavily on the conditions of the storage facilities, and he also noted that it is disaster in instances where bodies are removed from storage repeatedly for postmortem, and then those examinations are delayed or cancelled. This, he added, could happen for many reasons, including when relatives do not turn up to witness the procedure. I'm not actively involved in that postmortem. The pathologist only used our facilities, he explained. Cornwall said that while postmortems are conducted 7 days a week, Jamaica's high murder rate, coupled with the high rate of accidents, sometimes makes scheduling difficult. Nonetheless, he said, major strides have been made to cut wait times. The backlog has been drastically reduced. Autopsies are done every day, including Sunday. We have about 10 autopsies. They have a doctor that comes in and he works almost every day. I can categorically say that it has been reduced drastically. Distancing his business from fly-by-night operators, Patmore urged the government to regulate the funeral industry more tightly, as there are too many suitcase undertakers operating in the country. You have families complaining that bodies are decomposing because you have people who are going around taking up bodies and putting them in their yards in their fridges. We are trained to deal with the bodies, he noted. Last week, Calvin Lane, president of the National Association of Certified Embalmers and Funeral Directors, explained that certain deaths including accidents, gun violence, drownings and sudden deaths are classified as police cases and often result in long delays before autopsies and burial clearances are granted. These cases can take up to 3 months or more. Bodies found already decomposed usually take longer, he said, as these are not mixed with regular cases. Without addressing the Brown case, Lynn told the news that he too has had such allegations leveled against his business during his decades of operation. I have had that similar situation where the deceased body was taken to the place of autopsy twice, but it wasn't done. So taking it in and out of storage and the autopsy is not done and 2 months or more passes, the color won't be the same, he noted. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.